Nicholas Cotter. It was Spencer Matthews' plan, Spencer Matthews' people, and Spencer Matthews' crime. Now, members of the jury, you might be surprised to learn that the prosecution and the defense actually agree on a number of things today. We agree that Melanie Tam hired Spencer Matthew as a college admissions consultant. We agree that Spencer Matthew devised and carried out a fraudulent scheme to get Ms. Tam's daughter, Jewel, admitted into Berkeley, Stanford, and the University of Scenic California. And we agree that Spencer Matthew is guilty of wire fraud. But what you're not going to hear today, and what the prosecution will fail to prove to you, is that Melanie Tam was ever involved in Spencer Matthews' plan. That's because the evidence will show that this was Spencer Matthews' crime. Now, members of the jury, there's someone I'd like you to meet. This is Melanie Tam. She's a film actress, a wife, and a mother. But today, the prosecution is charging this woman with a crime, and because of that, they have the burden of proof. They've charged Ms. Tam with one count of wire fraud. They need to show you that Ms. Tam tried to intentionally defraud college admissions officers. And they need to prove that to you beyond a reasonable doubt. The highest standard in our legal system. But they won't be able to do that because, as you'll see, this crime belonged to Spencer Matthew alone. So let's talk about the evidence you're going to hear today. Members of the jury, I'd like to take you back to when this all began. December of 2015. Today you're going to learn that Spencer Matthew was the founder and owner of a college admissions consulting company called Reach for the Stars. You'll hear how he built his company from the ground up, expanded his client base, and eventually became one of the most successful college admissions consultants in Southern California. But for Spencer Matthew, that wasn't enough. So he decided to look for new ways to expand his business, to make more money. And he did that by cheating the system, by targeting high-profile people and celebrities to get their children admitted into elite colleges and universities. But he was careful. He kept the methods for his success a secret. So when Ms. Tam met Spencer Matthew, she didn't know anything about his history. You'll learn that, yes, she sent him an email and asked to set up a meeting. And you'll learn that, yes, they met at the Tams' home on January 2nd, 2016. But the evidence will show that Spencer Matthew never mentioned anything about falsifying test scores, bribing college coaches, or lying on application materials. And that's because this was all part of Spencer Matthews' plan. So then we'll take you to the months following that meeting. Now, members of the jury, one of the great things about this country is that people who are accused of crimes aren't forced to take the witness stand. But today, Melanie Tam will take that stand voluntarily because she has nothing to hide. You'll have a chance to meet and hear from her yourself, and she'll tell you everything. She'll tell you that throughout the entire college admissions process, this is what she saw. Her daughter studying, her daughter taking the college admission exam, and her daughter meeting with counselors for tutoring sessions. But you'll learn that there were other things she didn't see. Things that Spencer Matthew did behind her back. You'll learn how Spencer Matthew used his people, his connections, to change test scores, to bribe college coaches, and to create fake athletic profiles. But Ms. Tam will tell you that she never met or even knew anything about any of the people that Spencer Matthew used to carry out his plan. So finally, we're going to take you to March of 2019. That's when the FBI raids Spencer Matthews' office and arrests him for his crimes. But you'll learn that the first time the police ever heard the name Melanie Tam in connection with this case was when Spencer Matthew pointed the finger at her after he was arrested. You see, members of the jury, that's when the prosecutors sat down with Spencer Matthew and put a plea deal on the table. They told him that they would reduce his sentence from 800 years to just 15. But you'll learn that the only way he can get that deal is by testifying against Melanie Tam in this courtroom today. You'll see for yourself how Spencer Matthew only agreed to help the government to save himself. Now, you're also going to hear about a wiretapped phone call that Spencer Matthew placed to the Tams under the supervision of the FBI. Ms. Tam will tell you about that call. She'll tell you that this was the first time that Spencer Matthew ever mentioned his crimes. She's going to take you back to that moment. And she'll tell you how she reacted when she heard that. She was shocked and appalled, her trust betrayed, because the evidence will show that this was Spencer Matthews' crime alone. Now, members of the jury, you're going to hear a lot throughout this trial about how Spencer Matthew lied to colleges and universities for years. But the prosecution is going to ask you to listen to that same person who lies for a living. And they're going to ask you to trust him, to take his word as the truth. I want you to keep that in mind as you listen to the evidence today. Because the evidence will show that the only person who is guilty of this crime beyond a reasonable doubt is Spencer Matthew. That's why at the end of this trial, we'll come before you and ask that you find Melanie Tam not guilty. Because this was Spencer Matthews' plan. Spencer Matthews' people and Spencer Matthews' crime. Thank you.